2, 1.
Archers, attack! Keep firing! Let none escape! Another down! Do not relent!
It's time to talk about the Sylvanas book. I'm Slidewhistle.
It's your boy, Immunization, here for another episode of the DNR Book Club.
DNR Book Club! It's me, Aaron, Fire Mage Extraordinaire and Horde Punching Bag. And I finally learned Sylvanas has 1 N, and Gen Greymane has 2.
Wait, okay, so Sylvanas is whatever, but did you think that Gen Greymane had 1?
You know what? I never really thought about it, but I wasn't super confident. I was just like, Gen? That seems awful. But Genn, that's also not a name. It's a fantasy name, so I was like, well, there's no real rules I can go off of.
That's been your fun banter preamble to get to this. If you haven't read this book, get the fuck out of here if you want to read it, because we're going to spoil everything, including how many N's are in Gen's name.
Yeah, we wanted to give you at least 37 seconds of content before you hit the bricks, but you gotta go now.
All right, we're out of the spoiler-free zone. This book was pretty okay. It's pretty good, I think. Right?
Yeah. I was just telling Cubby Bub, it's good writing, but it's a narrative that I kind of already knew. Like, the whole thing is you're getting the insider scoop, the Hollywood dish of Sylvanas' mindset on a lot of activities. But as far as the actual activities, it's like, okay, well, I've been there. And she even says as much in the book. She's like, and then Pandaria happened. You were there.
Yeah, or there. Okay, so first off, yes, I want to say I enjoyed the book. I listened to the audiobook, and Patty actually read it. Which, first off, I want to say that is fun, and I think it was especially funny when she had to voice characters like the jailer.
Yeah, she did a really good Gallywix, though. Her Gallywix was actually pretty lit. It's so funny. Her range was kind of like if they have like an older voice, like her Arthas, her Jailer, and her there was one more. That's not the exact same. I kind of just do this sometimes.
No, I will say her Jailer voice did have a little bit of Gollum in it, though, for some reason. I don't know why.
He looks like Gollum. I don't blame her.
Now, this is going to be a bit of a head turner of a question. Obviously, there's 2 Sylvanas voices. There's, like, Dark Lady, and there's, like, Ranger General. Did she read it in one or the other more of the times? Could you tell, like, in the intermission sections where Dark Lady Sylvanas spoke, did she change her voice?
She did. And especially, it's noticeable at the end when she's having kind of flashbacks to, like, conversations that she had with her younger brother. Because, like, that would be in the Ranger General or younger voice.
Yeah, the more subdued one.
Yeah, and then like after she was done thinking about it, then she would be like talking with Nathanos in like her Dark Lady voice. So it's a contrast like that.
But then also sometimes she would kind of slip into the Dark Lady voice whenever she said like Lich King, because she doesn't just say Lich King, she says the Lich King every time, just like that. And I'm like, ooh, that feels good.
But yes, I feel like
she was floating amongst the armies of Arthas the Lich King, just dripping with scorn.
Basically. But yeah, I would say overall, it was a good book. I would say the first half was a little more boring, less juicy, because it is just like her younger, and I didn't care quite as much, especially when it was like high elven politics.
Okay, but I will say this. The first half was, I would say, pre-Warcraft the games. This is just, like, old lore. But half of that half, so the second, fourth, was pretty lit and came out of nowhere. The first half was like, these are my sisters and my brother. Lirith can play the instruments. I like to pull pranks. And then it's like, well, Sylvanas, we're your parents. We're going to go on a trip.
Oh my God.
And then their heads came back. And I was like, what? It's like, they're fucking dead, Sylvanas. They're so dead.
Yeah, I had to rewind this audiobook like a million times because it would be like, all right, yeah, they're just playing at the party, and then like I literally blinked and it was like there was blood everywhere, and I'm like, where did the blood come from? Whose blood is this?
Well, I will say, even the boring parts at the beginning though were at least backstory for like her character to paint a story about why she would act the way she did later on. Or even just like when she's like, haha, I'm such a prankster. These bullies were making fun of my younger brother Lyrith, so I slipped something in their vial. I'm like, oh shit, Sylvanas, did you just poison these people? But then she's like, don't worry, it's just, what was
It's
it called?
just wound wood, which is apparently the basic element of the blight. This simple little forest additive killed millions at the Wrathgate.
It was big Azula energy from Avatar. Like, I am crazy and I will kill you. I'm like, what? You can't just say that.
But yeah, so like that set the backstory for the Blight. Then you had the whole story where her oldest sister Illyria was training to be the Ranger General. She had like her trial, and then Sylvanas interfered and technically I guess saved, like we're interpreting it as like Sylvanas saving her from death because the
she was gonna eat shit to the monster that was chasing her.
Right, because she missed her shot. And then I feel like this is the first time in the book where the trope of Sylvanas feeling like things around her were really unfair, and in particular the reaction that her parents and the Forest Riders had with her intervening to save her sister's life. Sylvanas is like, why would my mother literally just rather have my daughter die than have me interfere and save her life and during this trial if it meant that Illyria would technically fail the trial?
That's how trials work. That's how you do trials, Sylvanas. You can't break all the rules because you don't like them. But I agree, though. I think it did a really good job of setting up future parts of the book. I'm also really mad at Christie because I cannot believe that she made me want to read more about Sylvanas and Nathanos fucking. They were so intimate, and I was like, what?
It really did appeal to like the Mean Girls Perez Hilton side of me, where like before I was like, I don't care about Nathanos and Sylvanas' relationship. But now that we're getting down to the nitty gritty of them like fucking in the woods, it's like, damn, tell me more. Like,
dude, like
it's
they
spicy now.
Other.
I want to know. Yeah, they loved each other back then, and he kept doing it.
They still kind of do.
Well, but later there was like a distinct part. The book is in front of me. I'm not gonna find it in there, but she's like, I remembered I loved him. That's in her next life. She was always like, I remembered I'm supposed to like him.
Yeah, there was a very distinct point in her story where she went from having a full range of normal human/elf emotions to being like, all I can feel is rage. That's the only thing I am admitting that I'm capable of having. And there are several times in this book where her personal dialogue to herself was, rage is the only thing I'm capable of feeling anymore. And I'm like, I don't think you're okay, Sylvanas. I think this is a you problem.
No, yeah, she needs like a therapist, like, and Nathanos is the only one she could talk to, and she's, they're just making sarcastic jokes and looking at each other's dicks all the time. Also,
shout out to her in the book being like, this man came up, this human man, he was the fucking ugliest dude I've ever seen. And I was like, damn. And I don't know if that was just a commentary on like, humans are imperfect, or Nathanos canonically was just like an absolute butterface before he got eaten.
He was absolutely hideous. It was like a whole thing. Like, he was just this ugly man running around with the high elves.
Well, I think it's less so that and more so just the fact that the high elves before they became blood elves were like really vain and perfect as well.
No, he's actually really ugly. I think that's like the lore is that Nathanos is just an ugly man on the inside and the outside. Which is
interesting because you see him in game and flashbacks, and it's just, I mean, it's the best the WoW engine could do in Cadam. He's just some guy.
Hey.
Yeah, but she was like, it's kind of refreshing that you're ugly, but I respect you because you're almost as good at archery as I am.
Like, I can't believe, like, I liked it, and I was mad by the end of it that we still didn't know where Nathanos was. Like, he's in the mall somewhere, she's gonna find him, but I was like, damn, like, we can't even be like, and Nathanos was on a rock above the players, like in the mall. Like, I don't know, like tell us where he is.
It was kind of weird because they didn't even reflect on that part in the Loyalist story where he was like, I love you, I'll do anything for you. And she's like, epic, totes. I don't remember that being a thing, and I feel like that was pretty important Nathanos Sylvanas lore.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think, I guess she wouldn't know. No, she would know he was dead because she know that he was in the mall. So how'd she find out he died?
Well, Tyrande told him. Remember when they were fighting in Ardenweald, and then
and then she didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that part. Okay, so all that happened. I just kind of want to talk about the jailer shit because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's breadcrumbing us, obviously, into the future.
Well, I guess like before we go to the jailer, which this is technically right at the beginning of the jailer, another character trait that Sylvanas latches onto, I think, in this book is that if she doesn't, she always feels like she has to have some kind of purpose, it seems, like at any given point of her life. And there's the first point when she was lost when, you know, it was the transitional period when Illyria was like, I don't want to be the Ranger General. I'm going out to, like, chase boys and explore the world. And then she's like, I guess I'll be Ranger General now. And then especially after her parents died, then she's like, I am Ranger General now. But then her next big thing was, I need to get revenge and kill Arthas. But then when that honor kill was stolen from her, she's like, I'm just going to fucking kill myself because there's nothing else to live for. And then later, her purpose was to, I guess, erase the entire world with the jailer.
Well, that part confused me because it seemed like at first she didn't believe in anything he was doing and she just wanted to not be in the inky blackness. But then she ended up like, well, now I believe it because if I don't, I'm going to go back to that dark room. Because when she threw herself off, she was just dead.
When Sylvanas was introduced to be like, I was the jailer's pal the whole time, I remember us, like everyone, was like, she's been secretly plotting in the background. She's been putting everything together. But it kind of sounds like he was like, yo, stuff's going to happen, believe me or not. And she was like, I don't, but I'll help you when the time comes. And it really wasn't until Legion when the 5 secret signs he promised happened that she's like, okay, I'm ready to start jailering now.
Yeah, so yeah, I feel like we need to discuss those things because like there's a lot to talk about there. But I guess before we jump into that, I will say that like I feel like her trust / willing to work with the jailer grew over time when she like the Valkyr like took her on a little trip around the Shadowlands and she's like, wow, this is really fucking unfair that the loved ones are separated.
I think she was just mad that she got insta-locked to the maw. She was like, really? Not even Revendreath or Maldrix's?
That's another thing, though. That's another thing we can talk about is, do we think that Sylvanas at that point, which is before she burned Teldrassil, this was just like when, like right up to when she yeeted herself off of Icecrown, do we think that she actually was destined to go to the Maw, or did the jailer intervene somehow and pull her down there to make a deal with her?
Right, and that's what I was trying to talk about, because I feel like we've seen Bonswamdi do this. Bonswamdi he was like, I have taken all of the souls of the trolls that have died that are my followers, and I have kept them in my own piece of the Shadowlands away. Like, he siphoned them away from the Maw. So, when Sylvanas dies, she throws herself from Icecrown, falls in the Serenite spikes, and immediately she sees blackness. Now, I don't remember what we know about Arbiter lore, but the Arbiter takes your soul and judges you and talks to you or reads you and then throws you down into a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Sylvanas died and was in a black room immediately. So either she had no memory of what happened and it was instant for her, or the jailer knew that he needed her, and the second she died, he was like, grab her soul, put her in the black room, we'll make her think she was sorted into the Maw, or into nothing, and then we can trick her and use her for all of this. Like, that's her biggest fear, is nothing. Like, he would know that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, just really quickly, another instance of somebody intervening before the Arbiter could judge where a soul was to go was that one cutscene we saw of Davos and Uther snatching up Arthas and throwing him into the Maw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we know there's like a brief window in time that someone can go and grab a soul before the robot Arbiter was like, let's grab it.
And who has access to all the Valkyr? The jailer, the easiest person who could just do it. So I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that Sylvanas was deceived the minute she died, quote unquote died. Well, she really died, because I can't see a good reason why she would end up in inky blackness / wait, was it even the maw?
The only thing I could see is she did, when she was a big ghosty, do a lot of mean, heinous shit.
No, but like there are people who did worse. Like the people that they showed in this book in particular were worse. Like the leader of the bad trolls that fought with Sylvanas' elves, and then even like Kael'thas. Like I feel like she probably would have been destined to go to either Revendreth or possibly Maldraxxus.
The leader of the bad trolls is Zul'jin, the leader of the Amani trolls. So, like, someone who's taken over territory from the High Elves. And this dude literally kills people for fun. Like, I guess he would be in Revendreth because of how prideful he is, because they could get a lot of anima from him. But, like, at that point in her life, I don't think Sylvanas' crimes were worse than Zul'jin's. It's kind of weird. I think it was to spin this unjust narrative.
Yeah, I feel like the worst thing I think she had done is like get greenlit her apothecary and her, who was the Dreadlord that she had as
Very
an advisor?
Mathorus.
Yeah, she greenlit them like basically making some blight to be used to take down Arthas, but she didn't intend for it to be used the way that it was at the Wrathgate either. So that's why I'm like, I don't really see why she should be insta-locked to the maw.
My entire thing, I didn't even think it was based on what she did as Sylvanas the Pretty Lady. If she truly was sent to the maw, I thought it was just what she did when she was Arthas's ghost. But I'm leaning more towards what Slidewhistle is saying, where like she was taken to a fake office and pranked.
Yeah, it just makes the most sense to me. And like, the Bonswamdi thing sticks out in my head so strongly as him just being like, yeah, I got him in my own, club over here. Like, what do you mean? Can we see them? Nah. And I'm like, okay, shady.
Oh, also fucking Odin did it for warriors.
Yeah, Odin.
Decades later, too.
Yeah, so, okay, there's lots of interference. The old Arbiter didn't really do its job very well, apparently. But I agree that I feel like this was a setup by the jailer from the get-go to present her and show her things that she would be really receptive to. Because I feel like the jailer, because we're also being led to believe that the jailer has been pulling the strings for everything that had and will happen up to the point of, like, the sword being launched into Azeroth and, the Argus World Soul being corrupted and destroying the old Arbiter. But, I feel like he knows Sylvanas, obviously, since he knew her name when she arrived. I feel like he knows what makes her tick, and he knows what he could say to convince her and make her think like it's her decision to join him.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows how to do that, it's this dude. He's been trapped for we don't even know how long. Because when he reaches out to her, he's already been jailed, right? As of Wrath of the Lich King. Who knows? Was he jailed the entire time? Like, the entire time of us playing World of Warcraft? Like, was he, jailed even before World of Warcraft, began, technically? It kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, we don't really have a specific date, but I was assuming that he was jailed well beyond any sentient race walking around.
And he had power. He had such power as of Wrath. And he's just sitting there, waiting and biding his time with the Valkyr. So, I mean, his scope of what he can see is pretty fucking big, right? He's got a large range of what he can mess with.
Yeah, so as Aaron already mentioned, during this meeting, one of the big things that he said that eventually convinced her to be like, hey, yo, I'm going to sign up to work with the jailer, was he's like, listen, Sylvanas, these 5 things will happen. Just out of nowhere, he's like, these are going to happen. You'll trust me when these things happen, and then, we can work together. Do we have a list of those 5 things?
I've literally been looking the entire time, and I cannot find them in the book.
I can't remember the first 2, but some of them include, the world will be... he had a flowery way of saying it, but, the world's going to be impaled. the world's blood you'll find and realize it's powerful. You will have to step out of the shadows to lead. One is like an enemy will return, and there was something else that happened in... Oh, it's like the world will shatter apart. Basically being like
the
Deathwing.
sword, right?
Yeah.
That one was a blade will pierce the heart of the world.
He had a Deathwing one too, though, where it's like the world will split apart or something.
Oh, yeah, one was just straight up a reference to the Cataclysm. So, like, yeah. Well, anyways, all these things happen, and then she's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to sign up for this now.
I also do appreciate that there was a bit where she got really bummed out because she was like... It was referencing war crimes. It was like, Soval said that nothing is a choice, but I'm going to choose to try and kill my sister real quick. And then when Varisa was like, actually, I don't want to die, it's like, the world is against me. I couldn't even let my little baby Moon die. I'm even more convinced that the world is a vampire.
That was another thing throughout the course of this book that I was really confused about. I'm like, Sylvanas, you say that like nobody has choices, but I'm like, do you just not like making decisions? Do you not like having to make your own choices? So you're just saying that there's no choices? Like, you've made choices yourself in your life. Like, did you forget that or something?
I mean, she's just depressed. My girl is just sad. And that's a good coping mechanism that, like every poisonous boyfriend, Zoval took advantage of.
Okay, I want to go back really quick or not really quick, who knows. I want to go back to those 5 things that the jailer had, because this shit is giving me huge old god vibes. He has 5 Il'gynoth whispers, basically. And he says, watch for these 5 signs, and here are the signs confirmed in order. A fiery darkness will return. You must step out of the shadows and lead. A blade will pierce the heart of the world. You shall hold the blood from the wound and sense its power. And finally, you should topple a king and shatter the sky itself. These sound just like fucking Il'gynoth whispers. And at the end of the cinematic that we see, the Zaval's like, there's something else coming. And this is the same dude who's working with Sargeras, and who the Dreadlords told Sargeras that the old gods were going to be a threat and make him go crazy. But what if that wasn't a crazy threat? What if that's a legitimate thing? And this is what Zoval is basically preparing for. Did he find an old god? Did he talk to an Il'gynoth?
Okay, so that is one prediction. I am in another camp where these are just 5 things that the jailer is, air quotes, predicting because this is his plan. Like, this is the way he intended it to be, the way he has set it up to be, and if his plan were to succeed, those were the things that would happen. That's my, like, prediction, at least. Although, it's the part that kind of pokes a hole in that is the Warchief has to die, and she has to be named the new Warchief. So, like, that's the only part of it that I feel like the jailer isn't directly involved in. He didn't, I don't think. Like, he didn't kill
Vol'jin's death is... I don't know. See how he could specifically get the Legion to target Vol'jin to kill him, but he did specifically cook the books to make it where Vol'jin's spiritual guide told him to name Sylvanas.
That's true. We did learn that.
Yeah, so like that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, is this precognition that the jailer has? Does he see these events are going to happen? Or, as Immune said, is he making these events happen to further his goal?
I feel like it has to be some sort of trickery. I don't think he actually is omnipotent because he failed. Like, I feel like if he knew what was going to happen, if he had a sixth sense, he wouldn't have gotten squished so thoroughly.
Yeah, and I guess it isn't that crazy that he could have somehow had an infiltrator in the Legion that could target
didn't
Vol'jin.
Didn't he have
because
Nathrazim?
he already had Nathrazim in there, and they were the ones that, like, tainted Argus, right? So he did confirmed have Nathrazim working with the Burning Legion, so I guess he could just say, go to the front lines and strike down Vol'jin.
It's just weird, though, right? Because he could strike down all of them and have more souls sent to him. I don't know. It seems bizarre that, like, that's the one. Kill the troll guy and put my lady in power.
Well,
but, like,
I guess it's just specifically the, like... You guys are jobbers. You'll get struck down. But as long as you get the blue guy, you'll have died for something. Like, I feel like if he was just like, kill them all, they would not have done it. But because he told them to focus their efforts, it's like, okay, you got the blue one. We're good here.
Yeah, and like they wanted to take him down because first off, he's the war chief. Second off, they have a whisper in his ear already that will say, name Sylvanas, war chief. Then with all of that, then the jailer is probably convinced that with Sylvanas at war chief, which we know, then he sent Mal'Ganis to talk to her, and Mal'Ganis is like, the jailer just wants you to fucking kill everyone to send a bunch of Animu into the maw to further his goals.
I love the interaction of Mal'Ganis coming in as this like pure looking blood elf, and then he says, "This is a pretty small room. I'm not gonna have enough room for this." And she's like, "For what?" And then he grows to his dreadlord size and literally scrapes the ceiling with his horns. Like, "See, I told you it was too small for me." I'm like, okay, Mal'Ganis, get out of here. I don't know, these just stick out to me as old god whispers, and I know it's. I want to throw a crazy Hail Mary pass far out into the fucking... What's a football term for far away from where I threw the ball from? The 40-yard line. Is that far from where I am?
Line. Well, I mean, where are you? You need to establish...
I mean, he's shaking his head no at me.
I mean, I feel like most of the time the 40-yard line is probably going to be somewhat close to where you are. Unless you're at your own end zone, maybe.
There's two of them, so unless you are near your 40-yard line and throwing it to the opposition's...
I'm throwing this to the 1,000-yard line. That's got to be far, right? These read to me like Ogonoth whispers. What if Zoval... He can see everything. He's been talking to he's been looking at dead people's lives for... God knows how long. The man snapped on the job, which we also should get. Arbiters need to be able to work from home, and this problem would be resolved, right? They made this man come to the office every day and sit there for 24 hours and sort souls. Of course he's going to go crazy. He's going to snap.
If he looked anything like the other arbiters, they took his legs. Homeboy couldn't even move. Some Mossworn guy, or I guess just before they were Mossworn, Greg, the Kyrian, had to push him places. That's no way to live.
That sucks. But, okay, so, level with me here. Imagine that he's reading somebody, right? Somebody had just died, and this person had been taken over by the Twilight Hammer's cult. If they were afflicted with void corruption, would he be able to suss out any of the information that the void corrupted person had told the void corrupted being? You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't he be able to sort out all those things as well?
Yeah, I mean, he knows everything the person knows because he can see all their life and know their everything. So if they have privileged information, now he has privileged information.
Like, there could be some kind of, like, connection to, like, the old gods from talking to, like, corrupted cultists or people who were afflicted by it. And he could sort out, because, like, all of old gods' things are, they will tell you, like, 999 lies and one truth. Like, they see all realities.
That's my favorite theater camp game. It takes a while to get through the rounds, but it's always a humdinger.
I really don't think Bethany traveled to Jupiter or Saturn, so we can rule those ones out pretty safely.
There you go. That's 2 out of 99,000.
But, like, what if he somehow found, like, the one old god whisperer that, like, only told truths? And these are the truths he got. These just sound like five keys to open the way and 3 lights to light my torch window. We're also moving into a dragon expansion next, if you believe the leaks, which I don't know why you wouldn't. And with dragon expansions come Twilight cultist people normally. We could still easily go into corrupted dragon shit. We can also still pretty easily go into Norse Dormu finally snapping and going crazy. This could be a raid boss we have to deal with in the new dragon expansion. There's just... I feel like this really sets up like a lot of shit we could like easily move into, and we'd be like, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that, like, in particular, this book is setting up anything for 10.0 in particular.
What?
I think that, like, they pushed back its release to line up with after the epilogue of this chapter. And that's why they named it epilogue in the game, and that's why it lined up with the epilogue of this book. That's the only reason I think that they pushed it back.
I think you're wrong. This book has a lot to do with 10.0. We got a Dark Ranger Villanara name reference drop. 100%. She's the one who was missing in the new quest for the Dark Ranger shit that we're probably going to be getting at this point. I think there's going to be more seeds than we know that are planted.
Yeah, I just don't know if I think it's the old gods, but
I mean, and they can always do like yes-anding to the story. Like Christie was just like, I just put Velinar in there because it's the only one I could think of. But like 11.2, all of a sudden Velinar is like, when I went missing, I saw God's eye. And everyone's like, oh my God, they talked about that in the book. And then Christie's like, whew.
you know what's funny though? They somehow like kept naming more and more Dark Rangers. They name dropped at least like 2 or 3 of them. And I'm like, I didn't know that there were this many of them.
Because they were finite before she raised everybody at the Battle of Darkshore and the burning of Teldrassil, which we have confirmation she is 100% evil. I love that it's just like, you can't atone for this bitch because all these crimes you've listed, you said they were also crimes while you were doing them.
It also, I didn't know how to feel about it because this entire time I was like, that was one of the main things I was thinking, like, we will finally get inside her noggin for the burning of Teldrassil. But when it happens, she just has some offhanded comment about, like, knowing they would soon be free when Zoval took over the world, she torched the tree and genocided the Night Elves.
Yeah, she's like,
Moving
their screams are finite, their afterlives with their loved ones, infinite. I'm like, what? Okay, so first off, I thought, like, you said that you were dominated, and that's why, like, this was happening. But, like, very clearly, we were, like, in her mind, and she's like, yeah, I agree with the jailer's plans now, and this is, like, the path that needs to happen. And then all of a sudden, she's like, yep, just kill them all. I'm like, what?
My only thing is she's retelling all this story, but she is also specifically retelling all this story prior to 9.1. So it's tough because even the narrator of the story is corrupted. Like, in her mind, she's like, yep, makes sense, because it's before she had got her soul crystal back.
Well, maybe all the storylines about, like, her not being able to feel emotions is supposed to portray that she was subtly dominated a little bit during this.
I don't think she was dominated at all. I think this was all her just trying to, not be sent back to that black void that she was in initially. And I think she just was like, if I do this, I'll live a little bit longer. That's it. I'm surviving like the prey I used to hunt. That's all I care about right now. Fuck my zombie family. Fuck y'all. Fuck your mother. It's me and Nathanos. Ride or die.
Well, she didn't even, at that point, she didn't even fucking care about Nathanos that much.
She just said he's her champion, and he was the one person she could talk to because he kind of remembered stuff from Quel'Thalas, but she did not like him. She was just like, I remember I'm supposed to tolerate you.
He even gave her an out there. He's like, Sylvanas, you don't have to burn down Teldrassil. Let's just run away for a second. Let's get out of here. Let's go back to my farm. Let's live in the wilderness. Let's, like, fuck on a mountain again.
I disagree with you guys. I think she loved him at the end. I think even to the end she loved him, but if she made that act, the jailer would have just killed him. Like, they would both just be dead. I think she had to push him away and ignore him, or else the jailer would have probably just used him against her. And that's probably what she wanted to avoid the whole time. Because she's going to find him again.
Well, now that she's willing to admit that she can feel emotions again. I feel like a lot of it, too, is she's like, I don't feel anything besides rage, so I will not be thinking about Nathanos.
I guess, yeah. I didn't really think of that. Because she was never like, he's important to me. The jailer didn't be like, oh, sweet, I'll turn him into a cool skeleton tank when he dies. he was nothing, so he's just one of the soul crystals. So now eventually she'll find him and be like, Nathanos, I'm going to put you in your other cousin's body.
Yeah, I was going to say, what body is he going to go into now?
Is he going to, I mean, if you turn into, I guess when you die, in some cultures you get a new form. But if he becomes what his soul originally was, is he going to be the ugly human again?
You know, I'm not sure, but I did think it was kind of neat that that this book did give a throwback to the other story where they were like, yes, we're stealing your cousin, ripping off his skin and putting it on you.
Slap it on.
Yeah, there was distinctly a part when they were fucking in like chapter 10 where it's like, we boned down in his family estate. His felch, smooth-skinned cousin Stefan walked in on us. Oh boy, that kid's skin is great.
Get that smooth skin for you. It's funny that Sylvanas, when immediately tasked with, hey, bring me the most souls you can bring me. She's like, I can burn a tree down. It's like, I don't know. Like she was like, maybe we attack Stormwind first, is what she was doing with Sarfang. I'm surprised she didn't just drop Blight somewhere. Like, obviously the person nobody would have agreed with it, but she could have done it anyway, right?
I mean, she did. Remember, like, on Lordaeron.
Yeah, but like Lordaeron, like, what is Lordaeron? You've got like your dead people there, and that's it. And yeah, the Atlantis army. Drop it on Stormwind. Drop it on Oribos. Drop it on. I'm
trying to think.
You know what I mean?
What do we think would be the highest density of people? Was it Teldrassil? Was there just like 50 million zillion night elves? I would have thought, because they're all long lived, that they're not having that many children.
It'd probably be Stormwind, maybe Orgrimmar. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's probably one of the horde races where they're fucking a lot. The goblins, maybe.
I guess that would be. I mean, I guess also we'd have to think here. With all the displaced peoples, who has the most? Probably honestly, Orgrimmar, because
Orgrimmar.
Orcs, goblins, trolls live there now.
Okay, so we're staring at this map above our computers that has a population, and the orangest area is Orgrimmar. What is that in Northrend? Who the fuck's up there in Northrend?
No, well, that's elevation. These are yeah. So the only cities that it lists here as over 1 million population are Orgrimmar, Zuldazar, Stormwind, and that's it.
Drop it on Zuldazar. You should Therabomb Zuldazar. Think about the Loa. Like, wow.
They weren't even your allies at that point. You could have just gas attacked them, and Rokon's gonna feel weird, but you don't know them.
Yeah, and you said you don't care a million times, so why'd you come after us? Huh?
Well, I did like that, like, her whole process was like, like, noble deaths will fuel more anima into the Maw. Noble people will fight in a war. I'm gonna start a war.
Crazy ass. I like that we also got Sylvanas being like, the Theramore bombing was not fair. And I was like, okay, I'm glad someone's saying it, because God knows nobody else in the Horde is.
There was a brief bit where she was like, she grew tired of Garrosh. He was rude, but he was not tactically rude. He was just rude to be mean.
Right? I did think that, like,
he gained nothing out of bombing them. He just turned them into ash because he's a dick.
I did think that her insights into, like, that part of the book during, like, his judgment, and when he was like, the world of Azeroth v. Garrosh, like, in court. I thought that was interesting. Just jumping completely random here. It's just funny that, like, well, first off, sorry, I'm all over the place, but I don't think we ever officially said this, that this book is from the perspective of Sylvanas recounting her entire life story to Anduin, who is, as she acknowledged, a captive audience.
She's that person that tells a story to, like, a cashier clerk who can't leave their job, and they're just like, I have you now. Listen to me.
It's like the time the guy told me about the story of Devil May Cry 5 at the bookstore, and I couldn't send him away because we were slow. What was it going to be like? I'd rather stare at air, sir.
Sorry, sir, we're really busy. I'm the only one here. No, the back is really busy, trust me.
But my man Andy, he was firing back a fair amount. There was the very first part when she was talking about how cool her parents were, and it's like, and then eventually my mom died. It was so sad. I was so young, too. I was only 4,000 years old. And he was like, 4,000 years old? I was in my mom's arms. I was a bitty baby boy when my mom got hit with a brick.
And then Sylvanas was like, oh my god, just like my parents. Wait, you're my brother.
Oh my god, you're white and you're blonde. You must be the reincarnation of my brother Lyriath. And he was like, I don't even know who that is.
How long did it take you guys to realize that there was big Lyriath and Anduin relations? I'll go first. I'll just say the second she said little Lord's son, I was like, okay, that's Little Lion. This makes sense.
Oh, I was way past that. I was like literally 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the book, and then I was like, wait a minute. The reason why she always called Anduin Little Lion is because she would call her younger brother, who's a pacifist most of the time, Little Lord Son. I'm like, they even probably look alike because of the same hair color and all of that. I'm like, damn it, Alex, how did you just figure this out now?
Well, I'm even worse. I did not consider it until Anduin Rin himself was like, "You are nice to me because I look like your brother." And I was like, oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. Yeah, and like you guys are saying, it was the same name, but when I heard Little Lion, I was like, ooh, she's being rude. And when I heard Little Lord Moon, it's like, or Little Lord Sun, it's like, ooh, she's being nice, and did not make the logical leap between them.
And I like how her reaction to him drawing that conclusion, which was a valid conclusion, and she even acknowledged that it was a somewhat valid conclusion. But like, it's another theme throughout this book is like whenever she's called out for something, she doubles down in the opposite way very angrily. So I feel like this is just her personality. Even when she was like a child, she's always like this. So I feel like that's another backdrop about why she would choose to do the things that she did, because she hated being wrong or called out for being right. I don't really understand her.
It was such a good insight. I'm really happy with this book.
I'm a big fan. It was well written, and it gave me insight into things I knew. I would have preferred some new stuff, although we did get one bit of new stuff at the very end.
Oh, the Anduin talking to her thing? That one?
Well, no, in the very last epilogue, it's like, Sylvanas Windrunner, the special lady, sat down because she just grabbed a couple souls, when all of a sudden, someone in armor looked at her, and she went, hey. And I don't know who that's supposed to be. It said plate armor, and I was like,
I thought that was supposed to be Anduin at the end.
Yeah, it was, and then like it like gave a quote from him, right? I think it was just like in her mind. I don't know that he was actually there, but
or I wonder because he did say like, "Again, I need a lot of time to think. I need to clear my head, bust a nut in the maw somewhere." Maybe he met up with her and he was like, "I'm glad you're nice."
He did say that like he was going to spend a little time before he headed back to Stormwind, and that Turalyon would take care of things until he returned. So I guess maybe.
Yeah, because it says, before Sylvanas could again stride forward into the vastness of the maw, she heard a sound, one familiar and utterly unexpected, the distinctive clank of metal armor. Hope, Anduin had told her, that's old though, right, is what you have when all other things have failed you. When there is hope, you make room for healing, for all things that are possible, and some that are not. That's in, like, italicized quote, so is that like a...
That's like her thinking of that quote, but like the hearing the armor wasn't a thought, was it?
So, no, I guess it would make sense. It would make sense if it was Anduin. Here in my head, once again, I'm not connecting the correct synapses. I'm like, is she just seeing Dave, like the high elf paladin she once knew? And then she was just like, it's nice to see Dave.
Davey! Also, is this the first confirmation, finally, of what exactly the plan was in Stormheim when Gen smashed that lantern? Because we didn't know what she was doing with it officially, did we?
No, we wanted to live longer. Yeah, we always knew she had girls, and it was established, like, Ayla is the queen of the girls, so she wants to capture her.
Dasha. Oh, wait. Oh, you're talking about Ayer. Our girl,
the big. Wait, what was the name of the big golden lady? The super Valkyr.
That's her.
The one she was trying.
That's Ayer. Put your hands in the Ayer.
Ayer.
And so she had a soul cage that she got from Helia. Which, by the way, where the fuck is Helia? What the fuck has Helia been doing this expansion? Even Nathanos was like, wait. You being a Titan-forged watcher is working with the jailer? Huh. That's weird. And so she gets the soul case from Helia, and she goes to capture Ayer for, I assume, which is what we always assumed, was infinite Valkyr, the ability to make more, to live longer. And she almost had it? We didn't know that, did we? Like, she was so close to getting her?
I think back in the day, that's what we assumed that she was using it for, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get a progress bar, but she was like, yes, yes, yes. And then AR was like, no, no, no. So I would have assumed she was really close to it before the player in Gen came in.
But yeah, in general, Aaron, does this book rank higher for you just because that there is a somewhat decent amount of Worgen representation?
There is mention of Genethan and Gilneas, and I did like that brief thing where it's like, I'm going to give you a vision of the future. You will lose to the Worgen. I'd be like, yeah, you would have.
I also really, really, really like the perspective of Liam Greymane's death from Sylvanas' side, because that's one of my earliest WoW memories is that whole Worgen opening thing. Because I made my Worgen Hunter like pretty soon after my Dwarf, and that was like such a crazy good like opening storyline for me to play as a new player, and I was so mad at her for like, like, what the hell, this is bullshit. And to see like her reasoning behind it, which I mean doesn't make it any better. It was just like cool, like really cool to see that side of the coin.
Okay, so the way I listened to that scene, did she not particularly mean to hit Liam at all?
No, because he jumped in front of it. She did not think that he was going to dive in front of the arrow.
And she was deeply confused because it was like, you see me, I'm a big elven woman about to shoot an arrow. Why would you, frail child, jump in front? This is after she was distinctly desensitized to violence. So it fucked her up for a second to be like, oh, I killed him. Why did I kill him? Like, he wasn't supposed to die. He was just a dude.
Yeah, and then she's like, would I have jumped in front of an arrow for my father? And then she's like, probably not.
Which is fair. Her father was kind of lame.
Yeah, he was kind of a little loser, dude. It's like, he's a whiz at politics. And I was like,
no, right?
Son, nor. I hope an orc cuts his head off. And then 3 chapters later, I was like, oh, rad.
I was going to say the sheer number of times this book meant, like Sylvanas shadily was like, anytime anything political was brought up, she was like, ugh, this reminds me of when my father was trying to teach me about the flags of the world. Phew.
I will never be a diplomat like him. Yeah, we know, lady. We fucking know. We also got a very distinct line about how time moves differently in the Shadowlands, and they talked about it quite a bit. So I do think this furthers my prediction for 10.0 that we are going to come back to an aged Azeroth. I think we're going to be once again in the future, and we have to go back in time. We gotta fix it. Like they would not do that for nothing.
Yes, it just stinks because I do think it's a cool idea to have a changed Azeroth, but if we have to go back to fix it, people are going to bellyache because time travel stories are, quote, never interesting, even if they could be. But
as long as we keep the time traveling to just like restoring Azeroth to the way we knew it, I think it'll be okay. But if they start to be like, we're gonna go all the way back to classic and then like change like crazy shit, I think people are gonna hop off there. If we keep it simple, I think we can do it. I think we can use time travel again as a basis.
I don't even know if they need to do that. If it's only like 20 years, I feel like they can just be like, well, we'll just fix whatever was broken and move on.
That would be absolutely
God
insane.
forbid. I learned today every race other than orcs and humans is like infinitely long-lived. You could just look at Moira and be like, yeah, it's been 30 years. And she looks exactly the same because dwarves can live till they're 200.
Speaking of that, that child should be at least a teen now, right?
Speaking of that, we got a Moira reference in the book, and I was like, my son will rule the Dark Iron and all of its entities. I'm like, yes, bitch, go off, Moira.
What did she do?
I less so what she did and more so about how Sylvanas was observing her and her big space buns.
Yeah, okay, I was walking down the stairs at work, and she was
it was at the Dalaran meeting.
Yeah, she was like, a dwarven lady with big red buns. And I'm like, is that fucking Moira, baby? Because Moira tried to lead like a revolt to take over the Dark Iron clan, and Varian was like, I'm gonna cut her head off.
Yeah, I read that. I think that... Oh, no, that was in...
I'm gonna skull fuck her.
That was in the Shattering. Yeah, she was like, "You're gonna stay here," and then he dressed up like a ninja and he cut like her cousin's throat, and she was like, "I am not prepared for this." She was literally in his jammies, and he was in a ninja outfit, and he was like, "If you ever do this again, I will fucking destroy you." And that's why the Council of Three Hammers does nothing. They're like, "I think we should go outside today," and Moira's like, "Never again." He'll bring out the black jammies.
That's gotta be like one of my top 5 summaries of an event happening of all time.
I just because I read this 3 years ago, like 3 summers ago. I distinctly remember she was in her pajamas. She had a big ponytail, and he showed up out of nowhere in literal ninja clothing, black skin tight leather, and he was like, "I'm gonna kill you."
And it was like, "Dad, what the fuck's going on, man? Like, we need to have a talk."
Why do you have a ninja suit?
"I'm super stealthy, son."
My pirate one was in the wash.
Because pirates are better than ninjas. Dad, no. Any other book thoughts? Any other book thoughts we got? There's gotta be more book thoughts.
There are. I feel like we touched on a lot of them. I feel like the one interesting thing to close it out was that Sylvanas, now that she's full of mind, is like, I can find Nathanos' soul and we'll be reunited as we always should be. And I'm like, okay, well, there's like at least, I don't know, like 100,000 other at least night elf souls that you banished here that you'll need to find first, so...
Even she said she knew it was futile. She knew it would take forever. But she's gonna find Nathanos, and he's gonna like get all the souls for her while she drinks her martini and chills on the rocks next to Borgath.
Can you imagine if she learned nothing from this? Like she was like, "Oh my God, Sylvanas, or Nathanos, it's so nice to see you." And it's like, finally we can be together. It's like, "Oh my God, yes. By the way, can you help me move these rocks?" And he's just going while she's just like, "I'm gonna go sit and talk with Venari now.
I'm just gonna go chill." Okay, you know what? Can we talk about how it must feel? Because obviously we three don't experience this. We're Alliance players. We hate Sylvanas. We think this is a good punishment for her. How does it feel to be a Horde player reading this book and being an undead player and being like, holy shit, she literally just used me, and if I'm not a loyalist, she doesn't care about me.
Or even if you are a loyalist, she doesn't really care about you. I mean, like, I feel like this book portrays her in a worse light, I feel like, than what we were already presented with. She straight up said, I don't give a shit about the Horde, they're just tools to me. I don't give a shit about the Forsaken, they're just tools to me. At some point she was like, Nathanos is just here to help me. And yeah, I don't know, like, also during this book, I completely forgot about, like, from the other recent book, whichever one it was, where they had the gathering. Was it Before the Storm?
Yes.
And they described that again here, too. I was like, yeah, I completely forgot about how bad that was. That was pretty bad. She's just straight up killing her own people. But
yeah, she had Nathanos murking, like, people who frowned at the public meeting.
Oh my God,
like,
yeah!
You'll probably notice we came back with 15 less people, but we did come back with this lady who's frowning. And then everyone was, like, cheering for her. And there was 4 or 5 dissenters, and she was like, psst, Nathanos, just stab them.
That was so fucked. She's giving his speech like, I'm identifying my political enemies to have them executed. Like, what? Like, the undead? Honestly, the undead are kind of dumb. That's how they kind of come off. They're just, like, they're so loyal because, like, she resurrected them and she took care of them, but she did nothing. She actually did nothing to take care of them other than be like, you will live in Undercity, and that's it. Like, you can't leave.
But I also will say, this book was another mention of Kalia, and like all the other books mention her. She's been in the storyline. She's been present through all of the Shadowlands, even though we've never quested with her, but she's been there. So I feel like she's going to be used in the future, and something's going to happen with that.
I love how she was like, and do you know who it was? Undead people who I saw. Kalia, wait for it, Menethil, boo. I was like, damn, she can work a fucking crowd so well. This fucking heel.
Ooh, she's good on the mic.
She did that thing where she holds the mic to the audience and, like, cups her hand next to her ear so she can really hear it.
She was fucking being like, and I'm here in the Undercity, and everyone just cheered like crazy.
You know what I had earlier today? A slime pie. And everyone's like, oh, we love slime pies.
Our favorite dessert, slime pies.
But you actually though, it's like a concert that she's having that's actually in Brill as opposed to like Undercity, but she's still calling it Undercity.
Also,
fucking, she's in Western Plaguelands, being like, it's so nice to be in Lauteron. It's like, technically, yeah.
Woo! Also, Aaron, I don't know if you knew this or not. Scott Steiner got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And usually at the Hall of Fame ceremonies, they let them talk. I have not watched the ceremony, but I can only imagine Scott Steiner was saying Sylvanas-esque things on the stage in front of everybody to see.
Okay, I have a book thought. It really tickled me that Sylvanas did not want to talk to Anduin about that time she got blown up by a shotgun by the Gilnean zombie guys.
Who can blame her for that? That's gotta be her most embarrassing death.
Of her, like, 6 or 7, the many banana peels she slipped on, that is definitely the silliest one, where she was just like, it's great to have you be zombies, and then turned around, got blown up, got brought back, like, oh my god, they weren't nice zombies?
I'd leave that one out too, honestly. Although she did, like, tell him things where I'm like, why exactly are you telling Anduin these things?
Yeah, there were some parts of the narrative where, like, we appreciate it as the reader, but, like, it's just weird to tell Anduin, like, I cast myself off and I super fucking dinked myself off the Serenite spikes.
I think a lot of that was to try to get him to open up. You know, look at me, I'm being an open, honest human being. Don't you like that? This is what the jailer can give you.
I'm being genuine. If I was trying to be cool, I wouldn't tell you about how the spikes speared my tum-tum and I shit myself.
I cried for 3 hours. I told you that. I'm very open.
I wouldn't tell you about how I embarrassed myself by saying such rude things about Kael'thas when I heard rumors about how he was planning on courting me.
Okay, I love how she described Dalaran as, this is pompous, like Kael'thas. No wonder he liked living here. And I'm like, oh, bitch, Shade Queen right now. Let's go. But, God, there's just so much, like, many things like that, like her dialogue to talk about, because we never get this, like, human, quote unquote, of a Sylvanas, right? It's always like, I am a dark lady, I don't like you, and I'm mean. And it's like, I have emotions, I have feelings, I have thoughts in this book, and I'm like, I guess I see why it's called Sylvanas, you know? Like, not a fun name, it's just Sylvanas. Which, the only other book to be called like this is Arthas, by the way, right? Or just like the name only, like not like a fun book name.
We'll just forget. Well, actually,
there's Illidan, right?
There's Illidan, and there's also a Thrall. Oh, that's Thrall, whatever of the aspects.
They're really good at sticking to their theming, though, because, I mean, obviously, Illidan, Sylvanas, Arthas, it's just what happens to them and nothing else, like, really, you know what I mean? That's pretty cool. Who's the next person you think that's going to get a book that's just name only? Anduin? If he goes to the space war thing that, like, we've seen in the comics, maybe?
Zeddy Velen?
We're not getting a Velen book. Velen is retired.
The Velen book would be it'd be like the opposite of this one. It'd be really interesting at the beginning when he's doing all his stuff. And then in the middle and the end, he'd be like, and we freed my people. And then I sat on Varian's couch and stared up at the wall for many, many years.
Okay, you know what? I take that back. I think a book from his perspective would be good if they got the voice actor to read the audiobook, because I know they would have to include a Rakish line in there. And he'd be like, Rakish, my son, don't hit him!
We'd finally maybe get Rakish's real name. If it was his book, it'd be like, my son, whatever.
My son, Velen Jr. You forgot that name?
He was just pulling a Sylvanas on us and not telling us that he actually named him after himself.
What if he was like, my son, Nathanos Meris? What?
My son, smooth-skinned Stephen Maris. If anything happened to him, I'd be so irate.
I loved the minute they were mentioning Stefan, I was like, oh no. no. But, like, they baited it, like, 3 times before it was like, and now he's been skinned. Oh, no.
They didn't go into any details. They just mentioned, they're like, Sylvanas is like, oh, Nathanos' cheekbones, they're like not the same. He needs a little Botox or something. And then like 2 chapters later, they're like, Sylvanas is like, Nathanos is, I was gonna say hot, but like ugly again.
He's handsome ugly.
I guess he doesn't inherently
His
have to
new
be ugly
face.
because now he's got Stefan's bod, and maybe if she saw Stefan when he was a fit adult, she was like, "Oh my God, he's hot! He's hot! How did he come from the same family as you, you ugly piece of shit?"
Which is weird because she saw him when he was like a kid. So like, why was that her? You know what I mean? Well, that's weird. That was her first thought. Like this kid would grow up to be hot.
I also thought it was funny when there was this whole scene like where she was trying to convert like Nathanos from Scourge to just normal Forsaken, where he had control of himself again. And at the end of it, they were kind of reminiscing about their former romance, and Nathanos was like, "Well, I'm even uglier now, so I'm probably even more appealing to you, right?"
I'm mad that it made me like him. I'm pissed. I also briefly, like, I know we're almost done, but the Legion stuff with her and Varian, and how by the end of Varian's life, she legitimately respected him as an ally and adversary. And she admitted that she had to make the choice of betraying her only ally. That was the quote. Her only ally is Varian, or sticking with the Horde and keeping them alive and not getting in trouble. Like, that was crazy. She was like, maybe I will not blow this horn. Maybe they all will die, and Varian will live. I'm like, whoa. Like, she totally, by the end, respected him. And I was shocked by that, honestly.
A lot of people have said that and or inferred that, and like I feel like this is 100% confirmation. I mean, obviously, because it's from her perspective. But like also this entire novel just showed that she fully does respect Anduin too, and I feel like that is probably why she's telling him all this, because she actually wanted him to work with her and the jailer.
And she wanted him to know how she felt about his dad. I think this is going to have to be our first DNR walk back, because we said a lot of things about her betraying Varian. Because to be fair, the Alliance never got a quest that was like, we had to leave, we're being overrun. I never believed that the minute that it came out. You know what I mean? I was I don't believe that.
We did see the cutscene, if you played the Horde, that she was like, "We're being over..." I believe she literally screams, "We're being overrun."
Yeah,
but,
she screamed
but I'm not going to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
If I was Pure Blood Alliance, I would have never known about that.
Exactly. Like, how do we know? And now we officially know. So now I can officially say, Sylvanas, thank you for believing in our true king, Varian Wrynn, who would have smoked your ass at the end of Mop if he had the goddamn balls to finish you off. Think about this. If he would have killed the Horde at the end of Mop in Garrosh's chamber, we'd be free, baby. We'd have no problem.
God, that would have been such a rude scene if he had struck... If Thrall struck down Garrosh and was like, "It's done," and he's like, "No, the fuck, it's not." Like, oh no, he's causing beef.
Battle for Azeroth 10 years earlier.
The Battle for Azeroth is just in that room. You just get 10 assholes throwing spells at each other.
Battle for that one room in Pandaria.
Which is in Orgrimmar, so you would have taken out all the people. And then all the Alliance guys come out and they were like, "Orcs, leave. Pack your bags. Get through the portal again." "Oh, but I just paid off my mortgage."
Get the
Leave.
fuck out. Okay, that was a big book discussion, which took up approximately longer than we thought it would, or about the same time we thought it would.
Oh, I thought it would be the entirety of it.
I was thinking we're going for an hour and a half. I mean, like, we're kind of approaching it. Like, I could keep going, but we have a bonus ep to record, baby. Okay, but now let's do our top 2, bottom boot, medium moot. Aaron, I know you are ready to go.
Yes, and it's such a shame because this was a good week of good things that I will probably talk about more, I guess, next week or just in general. But this week, I have a supreme bottom boot.
Boot.
To coincide with, speaking of Sylvanas the novel, we'll speak of the tragedy of Sylvanas the Nendroid figure. So, Blizzard had a pre-order on Nendroids, which are little Japanese-made like figurines. The thing is you can pose them, so they look different than standard statues. But I pre-ordered it from them last July, and the other day I was looking at my finances and I saw Blizzard had refunded me $65. And I was like, interesting. And I go and I check. They had just canceled my order. And granted, they did pay me the money, but for people who don't know, Good Smile, the company, you can pre-order, but you cannot like buy from them. And they're very bad at selling it third party. So if you get your pre-order canceled by Blizzard, you're going to have a really tough time actually getting the thing.
Was there a way to order this directly through them, or did you need to work through Blizzard?
You had to my knowledge, you had to go through Blizzard. Like if you were to go to Good Smile, they were like, here's the link to pre-order it, blizzard.com, like the gear store. But what had happened was, because the gear store switched retailers from Fanatics just canceled everything that was going through, and then just completely divorced themselves of Blizzard stuff. And Blizzard, divorcing themselves of Fanatics, they had no understanding of it. So I emailed both, and both of them were like, oh, sorry, can't help. So, like, I got my money back, but it stunk. I had to go to another retailer, luckily, that let me pre-order it. But I'm just like, I was fighting for my girl Sylvanas. It was like, it's just Sylvanas, man.
You're like, I don't even particularly care about it, but I paid for it and now I want it.
Yeah, I want it. It's cool. And also, I want to support Warcraft ones because they went absolutely buck wild with Overwatch, and I want them to give WoW that kind of heat.
Man, I didn't know Aaron was secretly forsaken by supporting the Dark Lady with this purchase.
Oh, you know, Skeletra, I'm spinning her up again.
Hey, Homozygous is ready to go if you're ready to get out there in the undead trenches, baby.
Let's get some Rice Kitchen, sit in the Undercity, and just spam dungeons and hate ourselves for it.
16 hours of pain, baby.
But Immunization, what is your TT, BBMM?
Well, I got myself a top 2. And it basically is just the fact that I don't know what happened. I don't know who replaced these people in Raid this week, but we blew it up. We super cleared through normal. Our second night, we pretty promptly, but not too promptly, because Aaron was not able to make it until 40 minutes later, killed the jailer on normal.
Whoop, whoop.
And then we killed 2 bosses on heroic as well. So I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like this is the best that we felt for a while. It was just a good feel. Honestly, we were close to being 3 out of 11 heroic too. We had a really, really low Zymox pull, but we'll get that next week. We'll probably also get sausage. So yeah, I'm not worried. I feel like we're doing good right now. But yeah, Slidewhistle, what you got?
I got me top 2. Mythic Plus has been so fun. The fact that after Raid, so normally when Raid ends, which is 11:15 Central Time, I am I gotta go to fucking sleep. I've been foolish and have been running a key after every Raid night with Pablo, Myth, and Ahoy. And I'm like, why? I'm going to bed at 12:30. I have to get up at 5 in the morning. What am I doing? That's 4.5 hours of sleep. But it's because keys are so fun.
They have been fun lately, and we're getting there. I know Ahoy just got his Keystone Master. The rest of us are getting close, so
I'm at 2,400. We're going at a pretty slow pace. I mean, slow pace being we do a key a night, maybe one. I know people are out to pumping 10 keys in a day, and I'm I ain't got time to sit here for that long. I wish I could.
Yeah, but compared to the way that we've done it the last 2 seasons, we're way ahead now, though. We're definitely doing better than we have in the past seasons.
Yeah, we're 500 points away from getting the new Mythic Plus mount, and I'm it's been a month? Not even a month yet?
I think we're only 100 away, by the way.
I'm also gonna put in a double top toot.
The second toot.
Because I was doing war mode again for the first time in forever. If you have not been able to finish your Patty's quest in a reasonable amount of time, let me tell you, all you have to do is turn on war mode, go to Orbos, pick up your proto thread quest from the PvP vendor, you go out to fucking Zereth Mortis and you go loot treasures, you loot mobs, you loot some rares, honestly mostly treasures, and you will get like 40% of your St. Patty's bar filled. I did not understand. I was at 63% on my Patty's bar. I did this quest and against overwhelming odds, which by the way, overwhelming odds gives you no benefit to the quest. So if you want that, don't do overwhelming odds. And I completed it from 63% for doing one quest. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I guess it's harder to do this if you're in war mode because you're always dying. But like the payoff is way, way, way worth it.
This was also a Dark Moon Fair week, though, so I had my buff on, and I was doing all the world quests, so I would have died a lot and lost my buff, which I probably would have been mad about.
I did Dark Moon mini games, the pet battle games. I have to do this today to get tickets to buy the Dark Moon top hats, so I could go out there with Mortis and do my shit, because you were getting 200 rep per world quest with the weekly and the top hat or the Dark Moon Fair buff. I spawned in to Zereth Mortis, and I walked away with my computer to get some water, and I came back, and a Guardian Horde Druid was killing me. And I'm like, my Dark Moon Fair buff is going to fall off. I had 55 minutes on it, and he killed me. I had to run my ass back to fucking Stormwind, get a new goddamn buff from the Dark Moon Fair, and come back. I killed so many Horde after I finished. In retaliation, this Bear Druid caused a war to break out in that portal room, and it's his fucking fault.
Calm down, Sylvanas.
I did it for my kin. For Lyrith.
My baby moon.
My little lord son. Okay, how do you think little lord son is spelled, Immune? Is it son as in the sun, or son as in a son? Like a father son?
Like the thing in the sky.
I thought it was son as in like boy of a father.
My little lord brother.
Because like I was like, oh, little lord son, he's the first boy out of 3 girls. Like,
yeah, because you weren't reading it,
right?
You were listening to it. Yeah, they're suns and moons based on their hair.
Well, like when I read it finally at the end, I was like, oh my god, it's SUN because he's a high elf. That makes blonde hair. That makes so much sense. Reading is so much better than audiobooks. Like whenever I read that last like section, I was like, this. Ugh, like I can tell what's happening at a faster pace.
I just needed to listen to it at like 1.4 speed to get it done in time for this podcast, so that's why I did that.
Well, we're giving our thanks to our little lord suns and little lady moons. Specifically, friend of the pod Tajurla, 4th host of the podcast Monkey, Ahoy Vince, aka Nathaniel's killed himself to see Sylvanas, and she will more than likely now pick up the phone. Instinct/Drag Race, Crucifix, Saracen Hawk, Adorno Blablornblow, Gershom, who says she knows flesh light and you're flesh late. Hoax, asking Growlina to say, for the Horde. Vanderlyle, who asked that you check out projecthope.org and support any of the worthwhile causes they are raising funds for. And Will, a.k.a. Tyre, Trade Chat's fallen father.
I almost put up my drink at Adorno Blablorno. With that, we're out of here. If you have any comments, questions, complaints, send it to us at donotrelenttpod@gmail.com. You can tweet at us on Twitter at donotrelenttpod. Join our Discord, talk with us, see our memes at donotrelent.com. Hit that accept link and hop on in here, bitch. We're missing you, little lord lady sons. What about you guys? Where you at?
You can find me, Alex, or Immunization on Twitter at New Era Alex. You could follow our podcast Instagram account on the gram at Do Not Relent.
You can find me, Aaron the Human, at the Big Cheesy on Twitter.com. Read the show's literary musings at donotrelent.livejournal.com. See me play videograms on twitch.tv. And you can catch me at the Maris Farmstead, lazily gazing into the day.
Dude, show me your undead dick. See you guys.
It's over there. It fell off.
And remember,
Another down! Do not relent!
Do Not Relent is a podcast within the 3HNC network, representing U.S. Proudmoore's premier podcasts.
That was a very good wish.